This is the All for the Gators podcast. Nothing but Gator greats, where your hosts bleed orange and blue. And now, your Gator alumni hosts, John, Andy, and Sid.
Yes, sir. This is the All for the Gators podcast. I am your host, John Spano, joined by Andy Pankratz, and Sid Kafka is the idiot savant of sports knowledge and a Jets fan. Andy, he's the buttoned-up one of the crew and a Packers fan. Guys, before we get started with today's show, how you doing, first of all? Doing well?
Doing very well. How are you, sir?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
I can't be better. I always love starting my shows being compared to an idiot savant.
Hey, let's talk about our January bracket challenge, which is favorite Gators wide receiver of all time.
So many to choose.
So many. We posted on social media. The listeners and followers voted for their favorites. That set the seeding. 90% of people online do not understand that.
Uh-oh.
Were you getting some sort of negative feedback about this?
Here we go.
And I'm not going to comment on where we are in the bracket because by the time this airs, it's going to be over and blah, blah, blah. But there were tons of comments because we posted on Twitter and on Instagram and on Facebook and in Gator Facebook groups that have tens of thousands of people in them. And, you get your usuals that say, hey, where's Ernie Mills? Where's Riley Cooper? I get it. They were great receivers in their own right.
Sure.
But we're talking about the top 16 favorite that were voted on. So if Riley Cooper is not in the bracket, he didn't get enough votes, right? It's not rigged. We have nothing to gain. We don't make a penny off this show. We have nothing to gain by rigging a fake bracket.
Demand a recount.
I can sense your anger. Your anger
Okay.
here.
Well, we had a couple doozies this go around, and I thought we'd do something different here. You know the bit that's on some late night talk shows called Angry Tweets?
Yes, that's correct.
Sure.
I think we're going to do Angry Posts. I've selected a couple, and I'm going to text them to you. You guys have not seen any of these, correct?
The only thing I've seen is you sent me the bracket, and it was at the time the Final Four, which I can't argue with, so that's all I got.
And Andy has no digital footprint whatsoever. You would know that if you've listened to our shows. So I know he hasn't seen it. And Sid
doesn't know he has accounts.
I might have seen it and forgotten. It's very possible.
Here they are, Angry Posts.
And I'm going to get some fancy music to play under it starting now. And I'm going to text this to you now, but I'm going to start it with the one that's not included. And it's one of my favorites. And it was right in the beginning when I posted the round of 16. And this guy posted, I'm not going to mention his name, although we are going to mention the names of the others. He wrote, no Chris Collingsworth, Chris with an H, and Collingsworth with a faceplant emoji.
He was in the bracket. Spelled a little differently in the bracket, but
that's
definitely
what I
there.
said. I said he's seed number whatever, and then I did another post, and I said also it's CRIS, and then I did another post. Also, it's Collingsworth.
Okay, then.
Okay, so Sid, go ahead. There's a number 1 next to the first one I want you to read.
It says, from Wade Harrington from a Facebook group. Die hard Gator fans. Oh no, please don't do this. I don't know why they would want us to do this.
This guy is in agony because we're doing this.
Oh boy.
I love it. I love it. Okay, Andy, read number 2, please.
All right, number 2 from David Barber, also Facebook group, Gator Chompin'. Too many young people voting.
Oh boy.
Get off my lawn.
On an online social media poll, there's too many young people. Okay.
All right, Sid, number 3.
All right, Mr. Andrew Rain from a Facebook group, Gator Chompin'. Some of y'all never seen them 90 Gators play, and it shows.
Angry Posts, number 1.
Oh, here we go. Oh, he was angry. David Taylor, again from a Facebook group, Die Hard Gator fans. Whoever ranked these players needs to take a urinalysis.
The Wizinator. I want to just have more polls just so we can have more of this feedback. This is more enjoyable than the results. I love it.
Really? Because I'm the only one that has to deal with this.
Yeah, this is great. We need more of this.
That's part of why we're loving it, yeah.
Yeah, that's the fun part.
You get to sort through all the mayhem and just give us the best parts.
Yeah, you know he gets angry when he sees this. Then he interacts with them.
Exactly.
All right, so who do we got today?
Hailing from Birmingham, Alabama, today's Gator great played some hoops. ran some track, but really garnered national attention from his dynamic play on the football field at powerhouse Hoover High. With over 200 receptions, over 3,500 yards, and 52 total touchdowns, he helped bring home 2 state championships. He earned All-American stripes, was a 2-time first-team All-State, and by graduation was touted as the number 1 prospect in Alabama and number 2 wide receiver in the nation. But not so fast. He turned his back to Alabama. Did I do that okay? Alabama.
Not bad.
And the ghost of Bear Bryant, and came down to the swamp, where by his first team All-SEC senior year, he would put together one of the greatest seasons and careers by any Florida Gator wide receiver ever. No one in the orange and blue hauled in more receptions in a single season ever than this man. Ladies and gentlemen, Gator Nation, I present to you Chad Wolfgang Jackson.
Excellent.
What's going on, fellas? What's going on?
Glad to have you. Continuing the strong wide receiver streak here.
Yeah.
And actually, we got a Jackson streak going now, too.
That we do.
Yeah, we had Jack on last week, and we had Riddell on the week before that. So
Okay. All right, well, how Jack doing, man? He doing okay?
He was great.
He's doing good.
yeah, he's selling cars in Louisiana, doing well.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
So I've been a fan for a long time, Chad. So thanks for joining us today. First, you were the number 2 ranked wide receiver in the country coming out of high school. Who was number 1? Do you remember?
I don't remember who it was when I came out, man. It's been so long ago, man. I'm old now, but
He's not on this show today, so it's all right.
I want to say it had to be somebody coming out of Florida. I can't remember who's in my class then, man. I don't know. Maybe it was Andre, maybe?
Andre Johnson?
No, Caldwell.
Oh, sure.
Andre Caldwell. Okay.
I think it was like number 1 or 2, I believe, when I was coming out that year.
So coming out of Birmingham, was there pressure for you to go to Bama or Auburn? How close were you to playing at one of those places instead of being a Gator legend with us?
It wasn't close at all, man. I knew I was going out of the state, regardless of, where I was getting recruited, especially, back home and here in Alabama. But yeah, I was heavily recruited, man. It was more Alabama than Auburn, pretty much. But they were going through so much at the time, man. And like I said, I was already made up my mind already. I was going out of state anyway. But if I did have to choose, it probably would have been Auburn if I did stay in the state.
Well, let's take it back before you even got to college. When you were in grade school playing around on a football field or any kind of field with your boys and you were emulating football players, who were you pretending to be? I mean, we all had somebody. Maybe we had their jersey on, and was there somebody from Alabama or a pro player?
So crazy story, man. To be honest with you, I never thought about playing football when I was a kid. Really, to be honest with you, I was into baseball and basketball, and I didn't really.
Okay.
I wanted to play football, but I wanted to play pee-wee football, but my dad, he wouldn't let me. And so once I got older, I just forgot about it. Like I said, I was just sticking to baseball and basketball. But as I got older, as I got to middle school, I was actually in the 6th grade. We couldn't play football in middle school until you got to the 7th grade. But I was in the 6th grade, and I was at a middle school football game. And as a kid, you're running around with your friends, and you tossing the football around on the side, watching the game at the same time. But you're playing with your friends. And my mom, she saw me from the stands, and she saw me out there playing, and I came back to get a drink. And she said, "Son, you need to be out there on that football field." So that's when I really started to get into football when I got to middle school. Like I said, growing up, I wanted to play, but I never knew what the game of football really was. I really didn't idol anybody growing up. Like I said, I didn't wear anybody's jersey, anything like that. I didn't really get into football till I got to middle school.
All right. Well, we heard John talk about your crazy high school football stats. He did mention that you played basketball and track in high school.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Did you also play baseball?
I just played little league baseball. I was a pitcher. Yeah, I wasn't
okay.
in high school or anything like that. I was just a pitcher, and I was just an athlete, pretty much out there on the baseball field.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about your basketball and track career in high school.
In high school, man, I was like I said, everything started in middle school. I didn't really start playing sports till I got to middle school. Track, football, basketball, and it just developed, man. We had a 5-4x1 team when I got to high school, man. I think we were like maybe 2 or 3 or 4th in the state, like my sophomore year. And it was funny because it was 3 black guys and then 1 white dude out there. We were killing everybody in the state, man. We had, like I said, 3 black guys and 1 white guy. The dude Michael Wilson, man, I never forget him. One of my good friends, man. He was out there just third leg, just tearing everybody up, man. So it was some good memories, man. We had fun out there, man. But that's where I got my speed from. Track. I hated track. To be honest with you, I just hated the practice of track because it was just running, constant running, constant running, constant running. But that's how I kind of developed my speed and developed my career as a ongoing athlete.
All right, back to football. Being a wide receiver and with the history of the fun and gun and spread offense at Florida, did it weigh heavily on you as a wide receiver to go there? Is that one of the main reasons why you went there, as opposed to in Alabama? That's they're big time running backs and pro style offense.
Yeah, I think it was between Georgia and Florida when I came out. And Georgia and Florida, they were both throwing the ball. And just the history of Florida, the wide receivers that went there, the quarterbacks that went there, the coach that went there, man, I got more hooked onto that program, just the way, I wanted to play football and the way I wanted my career to go.
So Zook had taken over the UF football program your senior year in high school. We've had a few guys on talking about Zook's home visits and how he won them over.
Yeah.
Did he recruit you? Any stories there?
He did, yes, he did. He came to my house in the small town of Hoover, Alabama, man. He came to my house, small little apartment, man. My mom, wooed me over, and I ended up playing for him. And the crazy thing about that is, like, he was such a good recruiter, such a good coach. Me and him, for some reason, when I got there, for some reason, me and him just did not get on the same page. We were bumping heads like all the time, and I resented that because that last game, I think when they let him go that season, we were playing Florida State. We ended up winning that game against Florida State. I could tell how much like the players, man, were still, even though that season was so crazy and they let him go, I could still see how the players had respect for him and they loved him, they cared about him, man. I hate that happened to him, but like I said, for some reason, me and him did not get along, man. But after a while, it was just, you couldn't do nothing but have love for him.
Well, Chad, we had several players on that had the same experience and had that love-hate relationship with Ben Troop, and I think it was Earl Everett. Ben Troop talked about almost coming to blows with him, but then
Oh yeah, yep.
later talking about all these life lessons that he learned from Zook.
Yeah.
So we've heard
Yes,
that
sir.
from a lot of people.
Yeah, man, it was crazy, man. Love the guy to death, man. I run through, what's they always saying, you'll run through a wall for somebody, man. I run through a wall for that guy, man. So
You get to Gainesville in 2003, and along with fellow incoming freshman Andre Caldwell, who you mentioned earlier, and you're joining a wide receiver room that already had a lot of talent in
Yep.
there. You got like Kelvin Kite, Dallas Baker, O.J. Small, Carlos Perez. So what was your mindset walking into that room?
man, to be honest with you, I was ready to get the hell up out of there.
Really?
I was
Yeah.
ready. I called my mom after the first week. I said, "Hey, I'm coming home. I am coming home," because I just knew.
Really? How come?
I don't know what in my mind when I got there. I guess I was nervous or I was new and I was away from home, and I think this played a big part of me. I guess feeling that way. But like I said, when I first got there and I first met all the guys and everything, I just, for some reason, I just did not feel comfortable. I was ready to go to the portal. Like I said, after that first week, man, I was done. But I stuck with it.
What changed your mind?
What changed my mind?
Yeah, what changed for you?
My mom talking to me.
Okay.
My mom talking to me. She sat me down and, mom the man, pretty much. She just told me, she said, son, you're away from everybody. You're out of your comfortability zone. And, that's the only problem what's going on right now. Just go out there. You know what you can do. I seen what you could do. Just go out there and have confidence in yourself and go do what you need to do. And I did it. Like I said, if it wasn't for that talk, man, I was coming home. I was coming back home to either Auburn or Alabama.
Well, thank you, Mama Jackson.
Yep.
That year, 2003, you get on the field with special teams and a bit on offense.
Yep.
Your tight end is actually the biggest target on the team that year. Friend of the show, Ben Troop.
Uh-huh.
What did a young Chad Jackson learn from watching Ben or maybe someone else on the team that year?
Ben, I was fast and I was athletic and I was big, but when I got to college, man, I saw how big these guys were. I was just like, I was blown away. And Ben was one of those tight ends, man. He was muscular. He was athletic at the same time, and just watching him just dominate out there, just being as big as he was, it blew my mind. So as a freshman, learning from those older guys, man, especially Carlos Kite, all those guys, man, respect to those boys, man. They taught me a lot when I first got there, too.
First game of your college career in the Swamp against San Jose State. It's a pretty good beatdown, 65-3.
Yeah.
You have a nice 29-yard touchdown, the first touchdown by a freshman receiver since Gaffney, who we've also had on the show. What was that first score in the Swamp like for you?
Oh, man, that was a crazy situation, too. I actually wasn't supposed to go in on that play. And I actually lined up on the wrong side, and it didn't hit me to the last second. So, I gotta run this, because I was so nervous, man. Like I said, I was nervous as hell. I've been nervous for games in high school, but when I got to the Swamp, man, when I walked into the Swamp, when we started warming up, I've been to the Swamp, recruiting trips and practice and da. But when you walk into that Swamp, man, and you look at those lights, you look at the stadium from the inside, and you're like, oh, shit. Excuse my language. You like, man, this is it right here. But when I scored that first touchdown, man, it was, I remember like yesterday, it was a screenplay. Came up, got the ball, man, and did my thing, and, the rest is history.
Speaking of history, you're one of only 8 true freshmen at UF ever to catch a TD pass. So obviously you remember it well. Do you still have the ball? Is that something you were able to keep?
I don't think I was able to keep the ball at the time. I don't think I was. But like I said, it's a memory, man. I definitely never forget. But that's a good stat, man. I didn't know I had that stat like that. Man, that's crazy.
Hey, we might have a few here that'll surprise you.
Okay.
Hey, I mentioned earlier you playing some special teams.
Uh-huh.
You had some nice returns that year as well. Was returning kicks something you enjoyed doing, or was it something that you just did to help the team until you got more snaps on offense?
It was something I enjoyed doing. I enjoyed doing kickoff return more than punt return, because that punt return, man, you have to have a different mindset. You don't know if that gunner's gonna get blocked. You don't know if the other gunner's gonna get blocked, and some guys, they just to hell with it. They catch that ball and go. And some just So I don't know, man. But I enjoy kick return more than anything. Like I said, more than punt return though.
So that year, Leak's first year as starter, he was a freshman as well, and he's your guy all 3 years at UF. How was your relationship with Chris?
We actually stayed in the same dorm our freshman year. Chris was a quiet guy. I don't know if you heard anything about Chris, but Chris was a quiet guy, man. Never got into trouble. He was always in the film room, always in the damn lunchroom. Then, man, that man can eat. Jesus Christ. That man can eat. Every day we in the cafeteria, man, he had it about 3 or 4 times a day. And like in the middle of the night, I'm like, Chris, where you going? I'm going to get something to eat, man. What you mean? I'm like, Chris, man. Chris, we got workouts in like 6 hours. You tripping. You don't know what you think about. But I think me and Chris' relationship was a good relationship, man. It was good off the field, good on the field. Like I said, we stayed together, man. And I think the 3 years that we were there together, I wish I would have stayed my last year. But as far as me and his relationship, man, I think it was pretty good.
So what's he eating in the middle of the night? Is he going for like ice cream?
Nah, man, he's going for like burgers.
Burgers, okay.
Fries.
Wow.
I mean, and then you see his body. I'm like, Chris, man, how you eat all that and you look like that?
Where does he put it?
Where you putting it at?
Do you feel he gets enough credit? I mean, he was a 4-year starter, UF career passing yards leader, over 11,000 yards, national championship.
I agree with you, man. I don't think he gets enough credit, to be honest with you, man. As much as he's done, a lot of people, when they bring up quarterbacks, they bring up, Grossman, guys like that, but they don't really bring up Chris because people don't really remember Chris and, everything that he did. And a small guy coming out of North Carolina.
Yep, he was a quiet killer.
He was, man. I'll tell you what, he had a pretty-ass ball. Man, that ball was so pretty.
Yeah.
It was smooth.
That ball was pretty, man. He'll get you that ball, too. It's, like I said, he had a nice ball coming to you, man. If you would have catching that ball, then I don't know.
Let's go to your sophomore year. Things pick up a little bit for you. 29 catches, 648 yards, 6 touchdowns. Your 22.3 yards per catch sets a UF record. What's it like to finally get the chance to showcase your big play ability out there after waiting that first year?
Man, y'all got me all these records, man. I want to put the cleats back on right now and see if I can still do it, man. They ain't no
22.3 is no joke.
Oh, that's crazy, man. I think it was just the like I said, Dallas was still. Who was there with my sophomore year? Dallas was still there.
Andre was there.
Juice. Who was that?
Andre Caldwell was still there.
Yeah, Andre Caldwell was still there. Juice. was there. O.J. Small was
O.J.
there.
Small, sure.
Cap was there.
Reggie Lewis.
Reggie Lewis was there. Yep, he was. And they were going him back and forth from like DB to wide receiver. He ended up playing DB. But I think it was just the offense then. And man, like I said, we had all the guys on the outside. I think I mostly played slot mostly a lot that year. In the offense, the slot guys, you were gonna eat because you were pretty much going deep the whole time. So they saw a position for me, and I played it, and I played it well.
Sure did. All right, here it is. Trivia time now. Chad, you can't answer because you might know the answer.
Okay.
Chad was only the third player in UF history with 2 touchdown catches in his career of 80 yards or more. Ooh. Can you name the other 2? Andy and Sid. Well, first, Chad, do you know who it is?
I have no idea, man.
I'll say it again. Chad was one of only 3 players in UF history with 2 touchdown catches of 80 yards or more in his career. Who are the other 2?
One of only 3.
One of only 3.
I'm going to guess Ike.
Okay, wrong.
Huh, okay.
I would guess Jabbar. It felt like he always had long ones.
Wrong.
I was going to say Jabbar, too.
Really?
I'm going to give a hint. You ready?
Yeah.
3 amigos.
Michael Jackson? Or Mark Jackson? Mark Jackson.
Oh, you're close. Who's the third one?
Natil.
That's it, Ricky Natil.
Oh,
yeah.
man, I forgot
That's
about
going way back.
So 80s.
Way back.
80s
Yeah.
stuff. Is that Galen Hall, Coach?
And then the other one, most of his career as a Buck.
Jacquez?
Jacquez Green.
Yep, Natil and Quez.
Yeah, it had to be someone in the Spurrier years.
Yeah, because they were throwing that ball then.
Oh, yeah.
What's it like to run for 80 yards? As being a track guy, are you tired? That's a lot. That's a good distance on the field.
I'm really not tired, man. And especially your adrenaline is going up out there, man.
Yeah, adrenaline.
Yeah, and you don't think nothing of it. You just think it's just I'm just running until I get past that line. So I'm not necessarily. Well, it depends on how many plays you ran before that. So
that's trh.
But if it's just a one-hit quitter, man, that's a sprint. That's nothing. You're ready to line up and do it again.
Well, the Gators finished 2004 7-5. Zook, the coach that recruited you, he's out. Urban Meyer's in. Also, he brings in Dan Mullen as the offensive coordinator. What was your reaction?
I think I was kind of me not knowing better. I was just listening to the media and just kind of what kind of offense is that how's that gonna work in the SEC? So I don't really know. I didn't really give it much a chance. I don't really know much about it. Like I said, I was up in the air at the whole situation. I never kind of really experienced that. I've been in high school. You had your same coach all your 4 years. Like I said, I had Zook the first couple years, and Urban gets there. So it was kind of all pretty much new to me.
Well, you come out great out of the gate. We'd start off in 2005, a home game versus Wyoming, and you score 4 touchdowns, 3 receiving, 1 rushing. Finished with 138 yards on 10 catches.
A good start.
Clearly, you seem to be meshing well with the new regime here.
Yeah.
All career highs for Chad, by the way.
Man.
Nice.
For a game.
They couldn't stop you out there. This must have been one of your favorite games of your Gator career. What are some of the things you remember from this one?
Like I said, man, that 4 touchdowns, man, it was big. I hadn't scored that many touchdowns in like one game. So like I said, since like high school or something like that. So I don't really get high on myself, man, because I know, we were playing Wyoming still, but, it's a good football team, but still it wasn't kind of the level of competition as, you know how it goes.
Hey, you're being humble. 4 touchdowns is 4 touchdowns.
If you would have got one more receiving, you would have tied a record with 4 in one game.
Another record.
Yeah, let's talk about a record here. You clearly find success under Urban's new regime here. For that season, you tied the UF single-season receptions record with 88, and I know you know that one.
Okay.
Tying Carlos Alvarez from 1969.
Oh, man.
And that 88 also led the SEC. You added 900 yards receiving, 11 total touchdowns, first team All-SEC, All-American honorable mention, Bolitnikoff semifinalist. What's seeing your name atop a UF record list like that and those accolades? What does that mean to you?
Like I said, man, I didn't even know I had all of these records. I just knew about the single season receiving record, but all the ones you're telling me now, man, it's blowing my mind. And to be part of something like that, man, to be part of history like that, man, is just something that you never think of doing. And I'm proud. I'm humble about it, and hopefully I can continue that good Chad Jackson name, man, in the future.
Well, we talked about some of the guys you played alongside. We talked about Dallas Baker, and then recent Florida Georgia Hall of Fame inductee, Shout out to Andre Caldwell.
Okay.
You were with those guys your entire career. What kind of an impact did those guys have on you?
Dallas, man, more than anything, Dallas, he put me on this wing, man, and I think he put me and Andre on this wing, to be honest with you. Dallas Baker coming from a small town, and I came from a small town, and just we adjusted well, we gelled well, and him on the football field, man, watching him grow, and he watching us grow, it made him proud. It made us proud also.
It was quite a trio, that's for sure. So Gators end up 8-3, beat Iowa in the Outback Bowl, 31-24. Despite some kind of crazy officiating.
Yeah.
That also ends your collegiate career. You end up with 120 career catches, 14th. We'll talk about records again. So 14th most all-time at UF.
Okay.
With all the amazing receivers that have been at UF, that's no small feat. Looking back at your career in the orange and blue, what do you appreciate the most about your time?
I say the relationships, man. I don't know what else it could be. Just relationships, because you're not there with people that you that you grew up with. You're not there with people that you've been around all your life. You're there with people that you don't know their backgrounds. You don't know where they came from. You don't know what kind of family they came from, man. And everybody accepted everybody. And I just think about, like I said, those relationships and who I've gotten to meet and who I've gotten introduced to. So just the relationships, man. That's what I've learned so much.
Do you still keep in touch with any of those guys?
Yeah, I keep in touch with a couple of guys. I'm on Facebook and Instagram with a couple of guys. Me and Jabbar, we hang out, a lot too. I saw Jabbar last year at the what game was it we went to? I think it was the Alabama game. And so I still keep in touch a lot with him the most.
Talking about relationships, the current situation in college football with the transfer portal, do you feel the players have the opportunity to build those relationships anymore? I mean, do you think it's totally different, the college experience as an athlete now? It's
totally different, man. It's totally different. It's kind of like the NFL now. You can pretty much be a free agent. You can go where you want to go. If you don't want to be there, you don't have to be there. And I think it's good for the players. I think it's good and bad for the players, but mostly good for the players, because you never know what your career is going to end up with. You can go out there and get hurt the next play, and you're hoping to take care of your family with those, that $1 million contract that you might sign when you get to the league, and it never happens. So, and I think it's bad at the same time, because I think some players are going to kind of depend on that, getting paid by sponsors and commercials and all that stuff like that, and they may not even be thinking about football no more. They're just thinking about just going to get endorsements and doing this and that. So I think it's a good and bad situation. It's a hit or miss situation. It just depends on your background and what kind of situation that you come from.
Sure. And they won't have the opportunity to build those relationships that you were talking about, because they'll be jumping around.
Definitely not jumping around, man. Like I said, it's hard to build a relationship, man, when you have other things on your mind, and you have other goals that you're not on the same goals as your teammates or your coaches and anything like that.
All right, so Andy mentioned your 120 career catches. So speaking of catches, I found this gem on the internet.
48 underclassmen declared for the NFL draft. 17 of them projected to go in the first round, including this man, Chad Jackson. There's his numbers from Florida in 2005.
My favorite to win this drill. Big hands, strong. Tell you what, he's got hands on.
Yeah, but look at him. He just snatches the ball right out of the air using his fingertips.
I'm telling you, this guy's stock is rising as we speak right here. You got a knuckle.
That was nice.
That's it right there. Mark, this is big time.
He's in rhythm right now. He's rolling with it.
Urban
Look at him. He's smooth now.
Must have had that jugs machine at Florida. This is big time exhibition right
he's already,
here.
He's done.
He's already
the winner. He's done. He's just showing off now.
Put some gravy on top of that.
He's got himself a Sony. He's got
Maybe a
himself a big
standing
TV.
ovation.
Yeah.
We're going to give him a standing O right here.
He's just showing off.
Just showing off now.
Put some gravy on top of it. That was Chad Jackson on ESPN in a best hands competition drill against Sonoris Moss from Miami, Vernon Davis, D'Angelo Williams, and Chad Jackson won. Was that before the draft? Like, what was that about?
Yeah, that was when we were coming out, man. It was before the draft. I think it was maybe like a couple of months before the draft. Actually, I think somebody backed out, and they called me like at the last minute to see if I wanted to do it. And I said, sure. We had a good time, man. It was fun down in Miami. I was already training in Miami anyway, so it was fun, man. I had a good time.
And they said you won 3 Sony TVs. Were these like the huge, heavy, wide, old Sony TVs that you won?
Yeah, they were the nice Sony big TVs, with the booty on the back of it. So, but they was still nice TVs, man. They lasted a long time. So I ended up keeping one. I ended up giving one to my dad, and then giving one to my mom. But they lasted a long time, though, man. Long time.
You decide to forego your senior year, and your quarterback, Chris Leak, and the Gators go on and capture the national championship the next season. Obviously, you made out pretty well getting drafted high, but I'm sure it's only natural. You have regrets leaving early. You think you missed your chance to win the championship. Like, how do you look back on that now?
Man, I think about that every day, man. My dumb ass. God. Man, why didn't you stay your ass there, man? Why didn't you stay there? And when they won it, man, I went outside and I yelled. I went outside and I lost it. I lost it. But I was happy for those boys, man. God, the boys that you just left with, man. You supposed to be there too. I'm gonna be honest with you. It hurt real bad. It hurt real bad. But like I said, I look back on it every day, and I do wish. I would have stayed, man, definitely.
Imagine how many more records you could have had. We could have thrown so many more numbers at you.
Oh, my God, man. I would have ate that season up.
We've had a bunch of guys on that did leave early, and we've had a couple that said no regrets, but most of them have said the same thing you said. They definitely regret it and wish they would have come back for that last year. It just wasn't the same after you left.
Especially when success happens right after you leave. That's,
man.
That makes it
a little bit.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, man. The boys had a good run, but yeah, I wish I would have stayed, man.
Well, talking about the next step you took, the 2006 NFL Draft, the Patriots trade up 16 spots with my Packers to take you in the second round.
Mm-hmm.
Where were you when you got the call, and was it Belichick on the other end of the phone?
It was, yep. And I had a draft party back home in Birmingham, and I got the phone call, and the rest is history.
Where were they projecting you back then? Did you kind of have an idea where you were going to
go? What's the thing they call when you send in a letter and they tell you like what's your draft status and yada yada.
Draft stock.
Yeah. So I did that, and they were projecting me like a third round, but I knew I could, I know I could train and get better and do what I need to do. So and end up getting in the second round. I don't think it's that many. I think it was maybe 4 or 5 big top receivers that were coming out that year. It was some good receivers like under us, but like I said, I think I was maybe it was me. Was a Stovall. Who's the running back? The wide receiver from LSU. He was number 5 at LSU.
Your draft stock must have gone up after they saw that hands competition championship.
Andy, as a minority owner of the Packers, were you involved in that decision to trade down and miss out?
I was not. They did not consult me.
Okay. Just checking.
How was that conversation with Belichick? I mean, you hear all the time that he actually has a sense of humor, but you definitely don't see it in his press conferences. It was a pretty straightforward call with him, or
it was pretty straightforward, man. Hey, we're drafting you in the second round. We'll see you at camp. Hung up the phone.
All right,
good enough. Let's take it. Right,
sounds about right.
You're in New England for 2 seasons, and you actually suffer through a bad hamstring injury, a torn ACL, but you do haul in a few touchdown catches from Tom Terrific.
Yeah.
What was it like to play with the recently announced retired Tom Brady, and know that some of his NFL record 649 touchdown passes went to you?
Yeah, I saw that a couple years ago, man. It had my jersey and like all the other guys' jerseys that he broke records on, and it had everybody, all the receivers, tight ends, running backs. So you had that caught a touchdown from him, and I thought that was pretty cool. But Tom is who he is, man. He wants done things his way. He wants things done right. All the time. He is what you see on TV. That's it.
Big difference from Leak?
Oh, yeah, big difference from Leak, man. But I'm going to be honest with you. Hey, Leak still had a pretty ball. Tom ball was pretty, but hey, I don't give a damn. Chris Leak had the man. It was like watching water dripping off a waterfall, man. That's how pretty Chris Leak ball was, man.
So after the Pats, you go on and sign with Denver, play a little in Buffalo and Oakland too. Clearly, teams are still interested and see your upside. Was it just the injuries? Why didn't it catch on a little more than any of those places?
I think when I left New England, man, I got blackballed. I believe I got blackballed, to be honest with you. I got into it with Dayball real bad.
Coach of the Giants now?
Yeah, coach for the Giants now. Yeah, he was our receivers coach then, and me and him got into it real bad.
Do you remember what it was over?
Just me, just not, I guess, being a rookie, and not complying to what he wanted, and I do blame myself a lot, man. I blame myself a lot for a lot of things that happened. Like I said, once I left New England, man, I got blackballed, and it just went downhill after that.
Well, let's fast forward to after your playing days are over. Most of the former players we've had on the show, a lot of them are running like training programs or doing football coaching somewhere. You went a little bit of a different route. What are you doing these days in your post-football life?
Man, I was doing a whole bunch of stuff, man. I was working at a plasma lab. I was selling insurance. I was bartending. I was doing all sorts of stuff, man. But then I finally got into the healthcare, man, probably around about 9 or 10 years ago. And I work in surgery now. I'm a surgical first assist, so I assist the doctor in surgery and stitch people up when we get done. And I'm at school right now to get my master's so I can get into PA school. So that's the next step right now.
Good for you, man. Good for you.
Yeah, congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah. I appreciate it.
And that's in Alabama?
Well, it's like travel nursing, so I travel all over the country right now.
Oh, okay.
What's the craziest surgery you ever assisted with?
I don't know if we could talk about it on air, so I don't want to.
I don't need names. I'm just saying, like, what kind? Like, anything?
Let's just say we pulled a vibrating toothbrush out of somewhere.
Oh boy.
Oh man.
Yeah. So
it takes all kinds. It takes all kinds.
All right, you're right. We can't talk about that.
Moving along.
What's Chad Jackson do for fun these days? Any hobbies, kids?
I'm a new father, man. I just had a daughter a couple years ago.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And she just turned 2 in December. So when I'm not working, I'm usually, on daddy duties. But most of the time, if I'm by myself, a good movie. I'm a video game nut, man. I play video games all the time. So I'm on Call of Duty, like RPG games, man. But I'm a pretty much a loner. I keep to myself, but that's me. That's what keeps me content. I love to travel. I love I got a couple of teammates I still keep in touch with, a couple of friends, and we travel. They're married, I'm not, so we travel maybe like twice a year and get together and have a little fun. But other than that, man, I keep to myself pretty much.
Your buddies' wives trust you going away with their husbands?
They do, man, but it's one of my buddies' wives, man. She does not like me. She does not like me, man. I can't get into it, but you just know that feeling when somebody don't like it. They had it's like they one of those, they haven't said it. I don't quite get the vibe right there, so. But it's all good, though. It's all good.
I thought when I mentioned hobbies, you were going to bring up karaoke. Yeah!
Oh. Oh, wow.
Hey.
Not just a baller, clearly.
Hey, that careless whisper, baby. Hey, that's my go. That's my number one on karaoke.
I like that, man. You were into it.
Oh man, I was pretty gone that night. Woo.
well, you usually are when you do karaoke, I think.
Yes, sir, man. That was my last night. I did a traveling assignment in Illinois, and all my friends, we went out that night just to say goodbye to them. And we had a good time. Had a good last night.
That's all that matters.
Chad, let's end with this. In honor of your killer karaoke performance, let's do a Mount Rushmore of singers, because we've had a lot of wide receivers on. We've done the Mount Rushmore wide receivers. We have a favorite wide receiver bracket. We've done enough with the wide receivers. But with your chops and covering George Michael like that, let's do your Mount Rushmore. Chad Jackson's Mount Rushmore of singers. Who's on it?
Oh, my God. I probably have to say George Michael is on there.
Naturally.
Does that include Wham?
That includes Wham. Okay, that includes Wham. That includes Wham. I gotta get the whole group some love. Prince.
Oh
There you
yeah.
go.
Bobby Womack.
I don't know that one.
What's he sing?
He's kind of like an old blues
Okay.
type music, like back in the like the 70s.
Okay.
And I probably had to say my guy Elton John.
Nice mix there. Yeah.
All right.
You're quite the Renaissance man. I like that. Diverse.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Chad, man, it's been an honor and a pleasure to have you on with us, all for the Gators podcast. When we started the show, you were on the top of my list to get on the show, and now I feel honored to have you on. I want to thank you for spending your time. You've been more gracious with your time with us today, and I just wanted to thank you for that.
Hey, man, I appreciate you guys having me on, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Now you know some of your records.
Yeah.
You know?
That's right.
I would definitely have to go look these up again, man. Y'all gonna have to send it to me or something.
We don't call it half-assed internet research for nothing.
Hey, come on.
Double
now.
check this guy because his research isn't always on par. But I think he got these right.
Okay, go Gators.
Gator great Chad Jackson, friend of the show now. Feel like we're starting to hit our stride here. That was a great interview.
And our first surgical guest.
Yeah.
That's right. Truly a Renaissance man.
Yeah, man. He was awesome. And always a name that I remembered. I feel like he was like a flash in the pan at UF. Like he came in, he exploded and then he left.
It's great to hear him give Chris Leak love, though, because I definitely think Chris Leak doesn't get the love he deserves. I was always a big fan of his. I remember we used to, John, we used to watch him play, and he did throw a pretty ball, man. He used to bring it back and kind of buzz his ear, but man, that sucker came out and that was a pretty ball. He was a good quarterback.
It always went where it was supposed to go, too.
Yep, he was a good quarterback.
He definitely was.
Yeah, and he's number one all-time passing yards leader for UF. So
It feels like the casual Gators kind of feel like Tebow was the quarterback for both title teams, but Tebow was very much a situational player as a freshman there. That was Chris Leak's offense. That was Chris Leak's team.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was Chris Leak's championship.
I think history, though, doesn't really accurately reflect that, though, because of all that Tebow did in the years that followed into the urban teams. It feels like that kind of gets lumped in as part of the Tebow story, and certainly Tebow played a part in that and was very exciting, but that was Chris Leak's championship offense, and it doesn't seem like he gets the recognition that he truly should for a championship quarterback at a great school like that.
Hopefully we can get him on the show one time. We can talk about it.
I'd love to hear his feelings on that.
Go get it done, John. Work your magic.
you got it. Hey, let's do our 2 bits.
So I have to go last, right?
Yep.
Okay, that's okay. I have a bunch of bits. I'm ready. You guys go.
I'm going to go first. I haven't gone first yet. Is that okay?
Sure.
We'll allow it.
Okay. It was news to me that he felt like he was blackballed, and that's why he was sent out of New England. I mean, he did have a bad hamstring injury, and then he tore his ACL, but ultimately they gave up on him and may have blackballed him, and that's why he didn't catch on with any of those other teams. And I remember when New England drafted him, I was so excited because, I mean, I don't like New England. I don't like Tom Brady, but the situation for Chad Jackson, I thought was perfect because
Yeah, they needed a receiver.
they needed a big-time receiver.
Yeah.
They didn't like spending money on big free agents.
That was before Moss. They didn't have good receivers really at that time.
Right.
Yeah.
So he was a perfect fit to really make a mark on the NFL, having Tom Brady throw for him on the Patriots. They're going to the Super Bowl almost every year. And I just never understood after all these years what happened.
Sure.
And now I found out. That's my 2 bits.
All right. Well, I already mentioned the surgeon thing, so I'm going to leave that one out. I think mine was that his incredible Gator career almost wasn't. He was, early on, what do you say, first couple weeks, he was ready to leave. He was ready to go, and his mom talked him out of it.
Thank you, Mama Jackson. Yes.
Very happy she did that because he went on to have a wonderful career. But yeah, it almost wasn't. And he was pretty adamant. You could hear it in his voice. Like he was done. In his mind, he was ready to go.
That reminds me of Mickey Mantle when he was in the minor leagues and he called back home and talked to his parents and was crying on the phone.
Father told him he couldn't come home.
Kind of worked out for him.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Whatever happened to that guy? All right.
Sid, you're up.
So I actually was really interested in how clearly a man of great confidence and accomplishments seemed to be so unaware of his place in Gator history. I personally haven't accomplished a lot in my life, but if I did things like he did, I would want to know it, and everybody I would talk to would just casually come up in conversation. I'm one of 3 players who have done this, and so I thought that was really great. Shows the kind of character that he has, that he is so humble. person who has accomplished so much. It seemed like either he truly is the most humble gentleman ever, but he seemed to be genuinely surprised by some of the information we were providing him about how great he was. And if he did come back for that fourth year, imagine how many more of these records he could have had. Because, I mean, of course, as a sophomore, he had that big yards per catch, which awesome, 22. That's just crazy. But, really, his junior year, where he caught all those balls, if he'd come back for that senior year, who knows what could have happened.
Absolutely.
Yeah, a lot of these guys that we've talked to, if they would have come back for that extra year, imagine the record books would look a lot different.
Definitely.
You know what I was thinking about working on? Not that I have any spare time, but some kind of formula to put together for all these guys that played 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, that breaks it down
like a weighted scale
per game based on several factors, right? Your main stats, and then you can see how they actually ranked. Not if I would have came back, for my senior year, or I played all 4 years, so now I've compiled these stats and got the record per se. But maybe some kind of formula that will tell us, per game, pound for pound, this was the best wide receiver at UF ever. Wouldn't that be cool, Andy?
Yeah.
You were working for the Russians at UF, right? You can come up with something like that. Actually, now I'm going to be investigated by the FBI because the past couple of years. But
I was not working for the Russians, by the way.
Jokingly,
It was just calculus homework.
I would joke with Andy as he sat at the dining room table with his calculus out all over the table that he was working for the Russians.
I recall a similar setup at the back of a Subway prep table, but that's a different story.
Hey, I had to get in where I could. That wasn't easy.
But yeah, I'm thinking about doing that formula and see maybe that's something we could copyright or something.
In your spare time.
I don't know how much I could help you with logarithms and stuff like that, but that is a great idea.
We could put it on social media and everyone will hate it. How about that?
And then we could read more of the angry responses to this great notion.
That's right.
Now that's an idea. I can't wait.
Angry posts. That's right. Angry posts.
Angry posts.
Yes.
That's our new favorite reoccurring bit. I love it.
Those were great. Those were great. Your analysis.
Man. I like the, oh no, please don't do this. Like, what?
Yeah.
He's just like,
Listen, Collingsworth, we'll do it and we'll like it.
all right, guys, man, it's been a pleasure once again.
Great show, gentlemen.
I'm negotiating with some more radio stations, too. So,
All right.
Excellent. Hello, Jacksonville.
That's right.
all right, guys, till next time.
Go Gators.
Go Gators.
Go Gators.